Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to the week. We have some fun stuff to go over. Had a little bit of a crazy start to the morning. I've been trying to sort through a bunch of data, and I've discovered there's not really a good way to sort it. But anyways, we're here. We're ready to rock and roll. As I wait for people to roll in here, we got some fun stuff. We just got in the Tour Life Brody chicken zones. I think those are probably going to drop in a week or two, if I had to guess, because obviously we want to get some to Brody. So those will probably be next week. Discraft, we have a lot of the stuff actually hit the site this past Friday, but just as a reminder, because last week we had so much stuff hitting the site. We have a Tour Series Luna restock. We have ESP Cigara restock. We have the Fuse Scorches still in stock, and the Captain's Thrasher just dropped. We also have basically a full MVP restock coming over the next week. So the Turbulence is going to be back, the Trail, the Detour, the Rhythm, the Balance, the Glitch, the Echo. Basically every mold we'll have back in stock by next week. We have the Lucid Jury from Dynamic Discs. We have the Neo Lumen Founder from Discmania, which is apparently an understable mid-range, it looks like. And then we have the Kristen Lott Huck Grand Grace. So that's all dropping this week over at foundationdiscs.com, which is fun. We also just had our top 25 best-selling discs of July release on. We released the blog post, and it wasn't super shocking. I believe number 5 was the Zone. Number 4 was the Time Lapse, if I'm remembering correctly. I should probably look this up. Number 3 was the Discraft Raptor. Number 2 is the Discraft Cigara. And then the number 1 bestseller was the Buzz SS from Discraft, mainly due to the Aceathon last month. So nothing too shocking there. You might have noticed we put out a post yesterday on our Instagram story, on Foundation's Instagram story, just asking like, okay, how many of our followers actually shop with us regularly at foundationdisc.com, which we kind of knew wasn't going to be a ton percentage-wise. And then the secondary one was like, okay, if you don't shop with us, why? And this was actually the best responses we've ever gotten. I've posted this in like a few different formats before, trying to get feedback, and this was the most feedback we've ever gotten. So that's what, unfortunately, there's not really a good way to collect that data from Instagram and compile it into something that you can actually like, okay, what are the percentage of people saying, you know, the price, the shipping cost, the I live in Europe or whatever. There's not really a good way to like compile that. So what I ended up doing is it was over 70 screenshots. I think we got like 350 some, maybe more. My math's not the best. Responses, almost 400 responses to that, which is awesome. It took like 70 some screenshots, threw them all into Photoshop, combined them all into one giant image, uploaded that image. Well, originally I tried uploading that image to ChatGPT because like, of course, ChatGPT can do this, but I had the free plan, so I can only upload one image. I couldn't upload 70 at once. And ChatGPT couldn't get the data from it, so that sucks. Instead, I uploaded it to Google Drive, then converted it to a Google Doc, then copy and pasted that information from a Google Doc into Excel spreadsheet, and now I'm just basically formatting the Excel spreadsheet so that then I can actually have the breakdown of the data. So that's taking way longer than I ever hoped it would, but it's important stuff because what's interesting is it's all stemmed from a conversation we were trying to figure out, like, okay, what do people actually care about on our site, and what are our misconceptions of like what we're putting time, energy, and effort into that people might not actually care about. And I was thinking that the majority of the responses were going to be like, you got to have side profiles of the disc, which makes sense. That and that's something that we haven't done yet because just the labor costs increase to do it over how we're able to currently do our inventory. But if it was something that was necessary, obviously we would look into it. So that's more what I was expecting the response to be. But instead, it seems as though, and I'm still sorting the data, so I don't actually know yet, but it seems as though actually a big reason that a lot of people don't shop with us is we're like a dollar roughly more expensive depending on your brand. I think Discraft were matched with the cheapest out there. And a lot of it's based on our size. We're a small business compared to some of the bigger people. We are one of the bigger Discraft retailers, I believe. And so that allows us to have better pricing there. But when we're talking about other, manufacturers that we're a smaller retailer with, well, you get tiered pricing. So we have worse pricing. So therefore we have worse um, prices on our site, right, than other people. But what we've done historically is, and we thought this was like a good value add of like, okay, well, obviously we don't have to be, but to keep margins normal, we have to be like $1 or $2 more expensive on some of the smaller brands that we carry. Even like Innova, which for us is a smaller brand, but obviously Innova is a massive brand. But on the scale of how much sales we do, um, it's a smaller brand proportionally. And so we have foundation care, which like covers your disc purchase with us, right? And so it's like, yes, you might pay like $1 more for Star Plastic, but for that dollar more, you have 30 days to use it, abuse it, try it however you want. And we cover if you ship it back to us and exchange. So we cover the shipping back to us. We cover sending you an exchange disc. We cover the shipping that way. You just fill out a form. And like that's something that, as far as I know, we're the only ones that offer a program like that, where it's like, it's not a just, oh, I got it and I don't like how it feels, I want to exchange it. It's like, no, you can use it, abuse it, run it over with a lawnmower for 30 days. We don't care. We will exchange it for a brand new disc. And I think that was just like a not a super eye-opening moment, because it kind of makes sense. But I think it's something that we'll have to look at internally of like, okay, if people don't care about this, they would rather, because like obviously that program costs us money to have it implemented, right? So if people don't care about that, is it better for us to eat the cost of that program and maybe just have worse margin on our smaller discs? Because again, as far as I know, I haven't fully done all my research because I just got all this information this morning. I think we're very competitive pricing with our bigger brands. I think it's just our smaller brands. And again, when I'm saying smaller brands, I mean smaller brands for us. Still, there's massive brands like Innova, Dynamic, stuff like that. It's just smaller in proportion to our inventory. And so, it's something that we just have to look at. So I'm trying to compile all that data so I can be like, okay, X percentage of people said that price is why they don't shop with us. There's a large percentage of people that follow us from Europe, which that makes perfect sense. The shipping to get over there, we can't do anything about that. So there's some things that you get the feedback. There's a ton of people that are like, I buy locally. Again, we can't do anything about that. So there's a lot of it where it's like, yeah, that's great feedback. It makes perfect sense. We can't change that. I don't want to change that. But then there's other stuff that's like, oh, you don't have X, Y, and Z on your site. Oh, your price. Oh, the shipping time. Oh, whatever it might be. These like different things. And a lot of it's like shipping time because I live in California. So if I buy from a retailer in California, it's going to get to me faster. It's like stuff like that we can't do anything about, but it's at least good to understand and know so that when we're doing marketing and talking, we can figure out what to pinpoint. But it was very interesting. So hopefully we'll be able to act on that in the next coming weeks, and earn some of you as customers. Whew. Man, I'm dehydrated. Okay, we're just gonna get straight into questions today. Not too much to run through, but we're gonna get straight into some questions here. Wesley said, "What should my next overstable driver be? I have lots of stable and flippy ones by Foundation." I mean, overstable distance driver, I love the Destroyer. That's always my favorite. We might actually have Bogey Bro Destroyers in stock right now. Let me look. I don't know if that's true or not. We had them. Let's see. This might help if I spell Destroyer right. We should have some Foundation Modern stamps. Looks like we have 2 of those left. And I thought we're sold out of Bogey Bros. So I'm going to go with the Destroyer. I think a Destroyer is your best bet. I love the Destroyer. Have I been reviewing the Ace-a-thon footage yet? Brody. Trevor reviews that. I've looked at some. But Trevor's the one that'll like really review it and go through all that. Josh said, Hunter, saw your morning run or DMs on Instagram. The best way to chat with you about that topic. Yeah. I mean, if you have a question, feel free to throw it in here. This isn't a disc golf specific show. I talk about whatever people are asking about. But if it's something you want to ask privately, fire away. Yeah, I see some people in the comments like giving more feedback. And one of the feedback we've gotten is something that's really hard as a retailer our size, which is just like, oh, the selection. You know, like I was getting some people were like, you don't carry alpha discs or RPM. And for us, it's like that there might be 3 or 4 people out there of our customer base that are actively searching for that. We have to educate people on a lot of those things. And so we don't have the capital to just be dumping into a massive inventory, right? Because it's like every disc we buy of one is a disc we can't buy of another one. And so for us, we have a bigger inventory, a much bigger inventory than we did 2 years ago. That's just something that we're going to grow over time. We don't want dead inventory. We don't want inventory that just sits for years and years and years and years. A lot of other retailers are much more comfortable with that. I just don't. That scares me, right? Because I that cash being tied up is cash, especially as a media company that could be going into creating more content, paying salaries to crank out more stuff, potentially hiring more media people. So it's a really fine balance. But yeah. Thoughts of the course in Appomattox? I haven't played it in years. It was a really good time, but it was even when I played it probably a decade ago. It was always like it was only kept up for the Elk Creek Classic, which I don't know if they do anymore, because that hole 16, the par 4, the grass would get like up to your neck, and it was just miserable to play. And so we are always worried to go out there because you never know what condition it's going to be in. But it was a fun, tight wooded course. I think it's literally the only course in the area we haven't filmed for the channel. And the only reason we haven't really filmed it is because it's like 30 minutes away from our office. And we don't want to get out there just to find that hole 16 is overgrown. I haven't really heard much about Elk Creek in a long time. Do I have a race lined up? Yes, I am running. So I'm running the Virginia 10 miler as my like B race. That's in a month and a half, September 27th. And that's going to be just like it's a race in Lynchburg. It's a big race, but I'm just running that for fun. And then my main race is the Richmond Half Marathon in November. And I'm trying to go sub 140 in that. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Flippy mids. If I'm visiting your store, which nearby course should I play if I only have time for one round? If you have long time for one round, then play New London. If you're just looking to get something quick, play Timbrook would be a good quick one that you'll have a good time at. But if you have time, play New London. Yeah, Scott said almost every disc I've ever looked to buy from you guys was sold out. Yeah, that is something I was actually having a conversation with Brad in the last week or two of we need to be just like there's a very fine line of, again, we don't want dead inventory. So we historically have been like, oh, we want to buy discs that we think will last for like a month or two. But the problem is sometimes with new releases, if you buy it like that and then you sell out on the first like 2 weekends, then the next thing you know, it's like you can't reorder that for a while and yada, yada, yada. So internally, our policy is changing a little bit, or our way we're viewing inventory is changing a little bit of just like there's certain discs that will never be dead inventory, right? The classics, the Buzz, the Zone, the MVP Hex, the like it might not move as much as it used to, but it will always move. Those discs we need to be much more heavy on and just be okay with like, hey, if we order 500 hexes, yeah, that's going to last us a year or maybe more. I don't know. Um, but at least when someone comes to the site, we'll have it, right? Versus right now, a lot of times it can be like, if you get to the site the weekend we get it in, you'll get it. If not, you're going to go somewhere else. And I know we're losing a lot of people that way. So yeah. Shay said, "Have I tried the new time lapse yet? I have not. We should be getting them in soon, but I have not." Dustin, have I used Saucony shoes? Yes, Saucony shoes are the main shoes I run in. I ran in Saucony Triumphs for years now, and then they just redesigned them. I don't like the redesign, so I switched over to the Saucony Ride as my current like main shoe. So I use Saucony and I use Brooks. Garrett said, "I'm quitting my full-time job today to pursue hooligan discs. Any advice for the journey?" Buckle up. I don't know. I've never been in the disc manufacturing side, but I think that the more, in my opinion, I think that not enough manufacturers are involved with content creators, and I think the more you can lean into that, the better. Um, Obviously, we've done stuff with like Trevor's Cash and stuff, but I mean, getting the more, there's a lot of eyeballs on the content being made by Jay Millie, Bedanza, um, even smaller ones like Pop Top Disc Golf. There's people out there that are consistently getting thousands of views, and when you like spread it across them, you'll be able to get so much more bang for your buck and direct eyeballs and direct ROI on partnering with content creators than partnering with pros. So obviously there's a certain level of like, you need to have the legitimacy of pros bagging discs on tour and all of that. But yeah, um, I think partnering with content creators is what's being overlooked by a lot of manufacturers right now. Shay said, "Do I see disc golf compressing next year? There's a conspiracy theory floating around that so many players are mentally struggling because their sponsors told them more cuts are coming." So you're asking two different questions. Do I see disc golf as a whole compressing next year? No. I think that the disc golf post-COVID boom's already leveled, and I think we're just growing. Do I see the COVID money continuing to dry up in the manufacturer and player sponsorship world? Absolutely. I think a lot of players got overpaid on decently large contracts over the course of the last several years. Um, and it wouldn't surprise me, especially your mid to lower tier players, if they were getting a guaranteed contract, that they have to go back to pre-guaranteed, back to the 2019 contracts people were seeing, where it was more bonus heavy tour series and you didn't have guarantee. But I don't think that's disc golf compressing. Those are two different things. I think sometimes us really, really, really in disc golf have a hard time separating those. Of like, manufacturers can be struggling because of business decisions they made in 2020 to 2022, where the spike happened and they are anticipating the spike to keep going. And when the spike didn't keep going and fell off, they can be, still trying to operate at a level disc golf's not at, but that doesn't mean disc golf's compressing. I mean, more people are still playing disc golf consistently. And it's not like, yeah, there's some people that got into disc golf during COVID that are burnt out, but it is still a growing sport. So do I see disc golf compressing? No. Do I see the professional level, players being tight for cash next year? Sure. I think that's something that's going to continue for a few more years. Because I just think that players got overpaid. There's just a lot of players that the ROI is not there. And when you're a manufacturer and you're looking at it and you're realizing that because you got 25 people on your team and only one of them's moving plastic, then you're screwed. So yeah, it's just, I think that we haven't seen the full repercussions of the 2022 fall back to normalcy yet. I think that's just still rolling out, but that doesn't mean disc golf's compressing. I think we are seeing the reaction from disc golf that already compressed. if that makes sense. So Josh Wilson said, "How have you kept God at the center of your life? I know in my head that He is all I need, but it's tough to feel that in my heart." Um, yeah, I don't think it is ever, at least in my experience, something that you never struggle with, right? Like I think there's a reason sanctification, um, and becoming more like Jesus is an ongoing process and not a like one moment instant. Because I haven't kept God at the center of my life all the time. You know, that's something that I have never been phenomenal at, but I try to be phenomenal at it. Um, I think that it's a daily and ongoing surrender of your heart, and a daily and ongoing aligning of your will to God's will. And I think the more you can be in Scripture, the more you can pray, the more you can be in community with other believers, the easier that will be. But it isn't something that is just going to happen once and then you're always like it. Um, if that makes sense. Those people are saying happy birthday to Luca. Thank you. Yeah, Luca just turned 3 today. Cade said, "Have you ever thought of hiring Jay Millie?" Yes. Well, hiring, no, mainly because I think he's an engineer. So he already has a really solid job. And then B, he wants to pursue content creation full time on his own. And so that's just something that is kind of hard to uh, line up, if that makes sense. And C, he lives in Texas and we live in Virginia. So I don't know if he wants to move his wife. I think him and his wife's family are like down there. And like as someone who lives very close to family here, I understand not wanting to be away from family in general. So would love if Jay Millie could be a part of the team. Don't really know what that would look like as far as hiring him. But hopefully one day we can work with him as his retail slash, a Robbie C type model. Would love that. And I've talked to him about that before. Maybe one day we'll make it happen. Did I run competitively in school or pick it up later? No, I hated running all through school. I didn't start running till like 3 years ago. Ba, 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 ba. What does my biblical community look like? Is it a formal group organized by your church or more informal? Right now I don't really have anything formal of like I don't have like a consistent Bible study that I meet with every week or anything like that. I've went through different stages of my life. I've had different communities. I think right now is just one where my wife has a really strong community. I have a lot of close friends that I kind of get that community from. I end up getting coffee with someone, maybe twice a month, 2 or 3 times a month. Uh, and so I have a lot of people I rely on, and I have that community, but it's not a formal community by any sense. Um, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Have I ever thought about Foundation collaborating with a shoe company, whether it's something like Vessi or Idio, or a brand that is in the disc golf space yet, a true collab, not a discount code? Have I ever thought about it? Yeah, of course. Much harder to go from thinking about to making it happen. I would love to have like shoe that we had inspiration in, or even like a foundation colorway or something, but that's a much much bigger commitment than partnering with the way we do. I think if it was ever going to happen, Vessi's probably the most likely one, because they've been the best shoe brand we've ever worked with. And so it's been awesome to partner with them. And obviously we have like a discount code and stuff with them. But yeah, I don't know what it would look like, a specific colorway or anything like that. But yeah, I would love to make that happen. So we shall see. Do I know when Atlas will restock? Atlas will probably restock end of this month, if I remember correctly. We have our order in. Um, it's just from order through manufacturing to delivery. I don't know. I don't know how long that'll take. Are we hiring slash will we be hiring in the future? We are not currently hiring. Will we be in the future? Yes. I mean, definitely at some point. We don't plan on not growing anymore. What that'll look like, I don't fully know. Part of me really wants to hire another media team member, a like full dedicated social media manager, because at this point we had an intern last year as kind of like a test, and she did awesome, but she was basically just like schedule the posts out, shoot the ideas we have, and that's that. Um, and then we restructured how our media team work, and Atlas Silas took over her role when the internship was over in May, and so Silas took on basically the scheduling of the scheduling the posts. Trevor and I'll go out and film the content and do that, but it's right now all of us have so much on our plate that no one is dedicated fully on short form content and like actually running our social media beyond YouTube. And so I would love for that role to exist. So I don't know if that'll be the next role or if we'll bring someone else on to like the warehouse staff full time. Um, I don't know. Will we be hiring though? Yes, at some point. Colton with the super chat. Appreciate you, Colton. How do I get you guys to play me and my boy in a Bogey Bro battle? Trevor handles that. So email Trevor at foundationdiscs.com, and hopefully that'll work. Have I ever played the Seth Burt Memorial in West Virginia? I have not. How was my time at Liberty? Thinking about possibly trying out for the disc golf team. My roommate is on the team. So my time at Liberty was great, but I was a little bit of a different Liberty student because I've always lived here. So I actually ended up going to school online and then worked full time through my college, or almost full time. I was working for my brother's coffee shop, probably like 30 some hours a week. And then I played on the disc golf team, which nowadays isn't allowed anymore. But back then, if you were an online student, you could play club sports. So really my only on-campus anything was the disc golf team. And that was awesome. Playing disc golf, collegiate disc golf in general was just awesome. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, I would definitely send it. College disc golf's incredible. Can't wait to get an Atlas Pioneer V4 to upgrade for my trooper bag. Awesome, Teddy. Appreciate it. Need an Atlas Pro for my birthday. Shay, I don't know when your birthday is, but hopefully we have the Atlas Pro bag by then. We got it. The Pro bag is one like the Pioneer we've released, and obviously we're now on V4, and we've learned as we went. And the Pioneer is always like it's a budget bag, right? Like we literally, the point of the Pioneer is we stripped it of everything we felt you don't need in a disc golf bag and left what we felt was necessary. And over time, we've been like, okay, maybe we should add in this, add in that, and we're able to still keep it at like $90 price point. And I think in my opinion, it is the best $90 disc golf bag out there. Literally every Atlas Pro bag prototype we get in has all the bells and whistles, the bigger pockets, the more structure, all of that. And for the disc golf I play, I legitimately carry the Pro bag enough to test it. And then I'm like, I just want the Pioneer. Like, I don't need the extra pockets. I don't need the bigger putter pocket. I don't need any of that. I don't need the bigger, more structure. Like, I just want the the Pioneer. And so it's actually kind of funny because I always end up coming back to use the Pioneer, and absolutely love it. But I know there's the demand for the Pro bag, but the Pro bag, when we release it, I don't want there to have to be a V2 of this thing. I don't want there to ever have to be a like, excuse me, sorry, this thing's getting to me. I don't want there to ever have to be a like reason that we missed something and had to add, whatever. I want this to be like when we put our name on it and we release the Atlas Pro bag, we think it's the best bag out there. And we're not quite there yet. There's still We're working with the putter pouch specifically. There's just some design flaws that we're just trying to really narrow in. But as the Pro Bag stands currently, it has more structure. It can hold more water. Um, it has the expanding side pockets to fit hoodies, to fit rain jackets, to fit all of that. It can hold 6, I believe, putters up top. The side pockets can actually hold more discs. So you can end up with like probably close to 40 discs when it's all said and done. I mean, the thing is very close. It's great, but we're not releasing it very close. We want it perfect. So Matthew said, um, I know with Atlas, you always say you eliminate the unnecessary things. What are some of the things that you have eliminated from bag other companies have? So I think one of the big things is we worked with the manufacturer in China that we use to basically develop what I forget what we end up calling it, but like Suedo supports. If you end up basically like there's like the support pieces are there, but they're not rigid. Because that was one of the big things we eliminated. Because in my opinion, and this is what we actually worked on quite a bit, was when you have the Atlas bag full, then it actually works with the more flexible support to give support to the bag itself. So we're able to eliminate all that plastic from the bag, and B, that eliminates so much weight. I mean, this bag is incredibly lightweight. So we're able to eliminate that. We also, took off a lot of the like I said, expanding pockets, the putter pockets a little bit smaller. All of it was just like reduced to just you want to have a 25 disc bag that you go out and you play regularly. You're not playing tournaments. You're just going out playing with your friends a few times a week, whatever. That's that. Um, yeah, I definitely pronounced it wrong, Shay. Don't worry about it. And so that's what we eliminated with the Atlas Pioneer is we basically took off all of the big one was the like actual structure, because I think that just makes bags big and bulky. It makes them way heavier, and so that was the big thing we focused on. And then over time we've slowly added strategic structure. So like there's a structure panel that goes in the front pocket now that helps that the putter pocket stand up and stuff like that. We learned over time you need it, but yeah. Gary said, "What's more interesting? Only 10% of active members voting in the Board of Elections, or that the PDGA only has 33% of total membership being listed as active?" Um, I don't know what the secondary point means. The PDGA has only 33% of total membership being listed as active. I'm assuming you're saying out of the 200 some thousand people that have signed up, only what would that be, like 60 some thousand are active. Uh, I feel like neither really surprised me. I mean, 10% of active membership voting in the Board of Elections honestly is pretty impressive. Like, I don't think that. I feel like there's a lot of disc golfers already just don't use the PDGA. They don't want anything to do with the PDGA. Then I think there's a huge chunk of people that pay for the PDGA because it makes their tournament fees cheaper to go play in tournaments, right? And so when that's the only reason you care, then you don't really care about the board of direct. Like, I think it is, a very, very small percentage of us that care enough about the PDGA and about the sport to vote in the board of directors. I think it's very important, but yeah. But I think the decline of the active membership, it speaks to just how people feel about the PDGA. And I don't think, the lifespan of a disc golfer, right? If you look at it, in my opinion, there's kind of like you progress, and somewhere in that progression, you're become the tournament guy, right? Like all you want to do is play tournaments. And then at some point you like plateau skill wise, and you have to either choose like, I'm going to become the best MA1 / local MPO player ever and play like crazy, or I'm gonna just play disc golf for fun. And like for me, I think I'm the of the media team, I think I'm the only one with an active PDJ membership. And the only reason I have it is because I run tournaments here and there. And honestly, at this point, I don't even run that many. Um, but because now Jason runs them for us. But I was running tournaments like 1 or 2 a year. And that was the only reason I had an active PDJ membership, because like where I'm at as a disc golfer, I'm not as good as I once was. I don't have the time to practice as I once did to be a good disc golfer. and weekends are for family. And so like I'm now like I'm not going to take a Saturday morning when I've been at work all week, especially in my work where I am playing disc golf all week. I'm not going to all of a sudden take a Saturday morning to be away from my family. So that doesn't mean I'm not playing disc golf anymore. It just means I don't need the PDGA as a disc golfer. I think that's where a lot of people are kind of getting is like you had this boom in COVID, and some of those people stopped playing, absolutely, but a lot of them stopped playing tournaments, even though they're still playing disc golf. Or maybe they went from playing 5 times a week and playing tournaments every other weekend to they play like twice a month now. You know what I mean? They've become just your more normal, typical disc golfer. So yeah, none of that really surprises me. The Thundercat said, I believe there's enough people in Lynchburg to love Foundation and love disc golf where you could start a weekly league. Foundation would get so much more popular and you can make it a pay to play. So we actually used to run a weekly league back years ago. And the reason we did was at that time, there was only one or two weeklies. There was a Thursday night weekly at Peaksview Park. And I don't remember if random draw doubles was going on at that point or not. And so we started a handicap weekly on Tuesdays at Sandusky Park, and then eventually moved it to Falling Creek, where basically, based on how you play, was how many strokes head start you got or didn't get, the better you were. And that really did great. It grew quite a bit, and we did that for like 2 years. And the whole purpose was we wanted to give the community more to play in. And then the club grew and grew and grew. Bedford Disc Golf Club started, and now I actually haven't looked at it recently, but as of like 2 years ago, there was a weekly like pretty much every night. And so once we saw that, we were like, we don't need to be running our weekly anymore. It was also around the time all of us were starting to have kids. And we're like, we don't need to be putting time and energy into a weekly anymore because now the local community is being served in that way. Before it wasn't. And that was the whole reason we wanted to was like, hey, the weeklies help grow the game. We want to help grow the game in the area. We did it. And now we just try to support the weeklies like the what is it? Kings of the County. Is that the right one? King of the County? Kings and Queen of the County? What is it? The one Ben Weiss runs? He does a phenomenal job. It's PGA sanctioned weekly. I think it's on Mondays. We support like that. We try to support as many local tournaments. King of the County. There it is. So we try to support as much of that as we can and support the people who are doing it. But that's why Foundation doesn't anymore, is because now at this point, almost any weeknight we did start one, we'd be competing with something that the local clubs already have going on. And, competition's healthy to a certain extent, but like I want to support the local club, not be competing with them, if that makes sense. How do you and the staff moderate the option of getting all the new inventory for your personal use and not wrecking business goals? Is that a budgeted area all the time? We basically like every new release, we just factor in to buy an extra one or two for marketing purposes. Go out and throw in videos, whatever. And then um, if our staff, like our part-time staff or even our full-time staff, if they want one that wasn't, so a lot of times we'll throw it for marketing, find out we don't like it, whatever, and then I'll let anyone come and take it. But if it's like, oh, we end up, the new fused buzz comes in, our employees can buy it at a discount. And that's just kind of how it rolls. But typically we order with intention of like, oh, we know we want X amount set aside for employees, basically. That's how that makes sense. So Beam Team, is my dog doing better? Yes, she gets her stitches out today, Lord willing. Everything everything's going good. No longer on pain med. She's acting like herself. It's just right now I have to you have to still restrain her because she has staples in. So hopefully she gets staples out today, back to normal doggo tomorrow. So we'll see. All right. We'll go like one more question and then we'll wrap this thing up. I got to get back to compiling some data. As fun as that's going to be. ChatGPT really let me down this morning. I'm not going to lie. Why is no one talking about the real scandal at Worlds? Matt Schlabach was asked to stop staring down the camera. Outrageous. It's about time. It's about time. My wife had to like ask me, what is that guy doing staring at the camera? I was like, it's his bit. I don't really know. But I mean, yeah. I never really understood it. I get like it's a fun thing, whatever. But like I fully get the Pro Tour being like, hey, come on. Let's let's dial it in. All right, final question. How hard is it to be a vendor at a Pro Tour stop? Is there a bidding situation? Um, Not that I'm aware of. Typically, it's just, you reach out and there's a fee to pay. Depending on how big the tournament is, depends on how big the fee is going to be. Um, and then you can, pay and register, and there you go. That it typically is pretty easy. I don't know if maybe that's because we're typically working with events, so maybe it is harder. But from what I understand, no, it's not too hard. Now you do have to be very selective about your tournament because some tournaments, you'll pay a lot more than it's worth. So you have to be strategic about which ones you're showing up to. But yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the site this week. A lot of fun stuff releasing there. And appreciate all of your feedback you've been giving on the foundation story as to why you do or do not shop with us. So appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you again later.